I'm still thinking about this homeless crisis we've got going in Portland, and I don't think that's a hyperbole. Every time I go out onto the streets, things don't seem to be getting any better, and I suspect they might be getting just a little bit worse. So anyway, you know what the problem is. We have people that don't have a roof over their heads, and so they pitch tents or throw out lean-tos, and we clean them up and move them on, and the same people are still without housing, and so they get a hold of another lean-to or some more tents, and they pitch them somewhere else. And my point has been, it's just not working. It's costing us a lot of money to move people around, and they're still without a roof over their heads. So what I've proposed, just by way of review, is what I call a MATS, Minimally Adequate Transitional Shelter. Really little more than just a hard-walled tent. And we need enough of these things built by the community, hopefully. We can get enough buy-in to accomplish that, built by the community so that we can put them in designated areas with a necessary porta-potty, a dumpster or a garbage can, and a sharps container, and make enough of them so that we can rigorously enforce a regulation in the city that says no more tents. No more tent cities, no more lean-to villages. If you put something up that's a temporary structure in an undesignated area, they will be removed immediately. But don't worry, we do have an alternative for you. It's a hard-walled tent, which is comparatively better than what you're staying in right now. And it's in a designated area where we can provide some services or get medical care to you should you need to. But here's the big question, and that's what I've been thinking about. Where do we put them? I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't want a Matt's Village in my neighborhood. My guess is you don't either. But here's the thing. Do we want a Matt's Village in our neighborhood, a designated area where they can be supervised, or do we want them to kind of pop up at random wherever a homeless person who doesn't have any other place to go chooses to put a tent village or a lean-to city? So once again, I get to that standard of comparative advantage. Which is better, random tent cities or a designated area? Well, what designated area might we choose? Well, I'm thinking the first place to look is on unused city properties. Properties that aren't likely to be put on the market, sold, or change hands within the next year or two. That would be a good place to start to put a Matt's Village. After that, maybe we could look at unused commercial properties. Maybe we could make it worth a commercial landowner's while to offer somewhat of a tax deduction if they allow their property to be temporarily used for a village of minimally adequate transitional shelters. Now, another possibility is changing some of our zoning codes. I think we're going to have to. As much as we'd like to hang on to our zoning regulations right now, we've got an emergency going. And I don't think that's a hyperbole. I think we do have an emergency going. And in the case of a civil emergency, a city emergency like the homeless thing, we're going to need to make some adjustments. Maybe we need to let the churches, some of the churches who have unused parking lot space, go ahead and site 6 to 8 mats on their property with a porta-potty and a garbage can and a sharps container. Maybe we should allow them to do that. Maybe there are some other commercial property owners that could reserve a corner of their property for a village of this kind. You know, it's something that we're going to have to work together to deal with because it's not going to go away if we don't. And I just haven't heard of any other possibilities that we're able to actually implement in an efficient and sooner rather than later kind of way. We're going to have to move, and we've got to move more quickly than we're able to move right now. So anyway, if we're going to have Matt's villages in designated areas, and we can find the designated areas to put them in, then that means there's going to have to be a certain set of responsibilities placed on the people who live there. And it also means that we're going to have these things designed in such a way that they can be moved and placed. I got to think about that. Maybe there's a way we can build these things that might make this practical. I'm going to get back to you on it.